Real quick guys, before we jump into this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're giving away 980 Primo Gems in this video for the launch of Ayaka. If this video reaches 2,000 likes, we'll do the giveaway over in my Discord, which is in the pinned comment. So guys, as we know, Ayaka is actually going to be finally coming to Genshin in the 2.0 update, literally in a few days. She is a 5-star cryo sword user and is coming along with the big Inazuma update. So in this video, we're pretty much going to be going over her builds, how to prepare for it, and what characters she might synergize well with. Ayaka is meant to be your main DPS and pretty much has some similar playstyles with other characters. She's going to be great for your team if you want a cryo DPS, along with a decent sort of crowd control, since her abilities pretty much allow you to hit multiple enemies. So pretty much before we head into it, we're going to talk about Ayaka's optimal builds and go over her talents, her passives. Obviously, it's important to keep in mind when building for Ayaka, build it how you want to build it. And obviously just let this video, I guess, influence you a bit on, I guess, what might be the best. First of all, guys, she has a sprint very similar to Mona. She can go underground and she dashes out, but it's basically been optimized for her. So pretty much you'll be able to attack a lot quicker after you sprint. It's far faster than Mona as well. And what's really cool about this sprint, not only does it affect enemies with cryo, it also infuses your attacks with cryo. So pretty much you're going to obviously get cryo on your normal and charged attacks, and they're going to be infused for 5 seconds. And since you're probably going to be sprinting a lot, the uptime for the cryo infusion is basically forever. Ayaka's elemental skill, Kamisato Art Hayaka, basically launches enemies in a radius around her like Venti's E, but you don't launch yourself. The skill deals cryo AoE damage. It's obviously an ability that pretty much is used for a burst as long as some decent damage, because it has a cooldown of 10 seconds as well, so keep that in mind. So her elemental burst actually having a cost of 80 energy. I recommend that you have a cryo battery for her. Now, I really hate having like batteries in my team, but if you have one in your team already, it's fine. If you don't want to, that's fine too. But just know she has a very high energy cost for her elemental burst. Her elemental burst, Kamisato Art Sametsu, summons snowstorms that move forward in front of her, dealing cryo damage over time, and then a final blast of cryo damage. So obviously this is similar to sort of, I guess, Diluc's burst and deals a lot of AoE cryo damage, which makes investing to her burst really worth it. Although it does have a high energy cost of 80 and a 20-second cooldown, the AoE damage can sort of make up for it, I guess. Her passive talent will pretty much give you 10% chance of receiving double the product when crafting weapon essential materials. So that's obviously going to be really good, saving materials and such. Her combat talents are going to make her really strong, guys. The first one makes it so you pretty much gain a 30% increase to her normal and charged attacks for 6 seconds every time you use an elemental skill. This is going to be really powerful, especially as an Ayaka main DPS. You obviously really want to make use of her auto attack buffs as much as you can. Now, when it comes to Ayaka's second talent, it basically inflicts cryo damage to enemies once you reappear from the sprint, and you actually gain 10 stamina back and a really good 18% cryo damage buff for 10 seconds, which we talked about earlier. This is going to be really strong since you do drain 10 stamina once you sprint, and you pretty much get it right back after. Not to mention that Ayaka's cryo damage bonus will obviously really help with her overall damage output for Ayaka. Now that we've gone over Ayaka herself, we've pretty much gotten the idea that she'll be a really good on-field DPS. So basically, Ayaka is going to be making the most out of her potential with her cryo-infused attacks, along with the cryo damage auto-attack bonus as well from her passives. Her Ascension stats also buffs her crit damage, so that's really great. Now, starting up with weapons, what weapons do you want to use on Ayaka? So obviously we have the new 5-star sword, the Mist Splitter Reforged, which is going to be her basically weapon banner when she does drop. Now obviously this is her best in slot weapon. It is a 5-star, giving you massive elemental damage bonus up to 40%, a really high base attack of 674 and 44.1 crit damage main stat when it's fully upgraded. This is going to be really good for her Ascension stat, because her Ascension stat is going to be crit damage as well. And obviously this gives you more room to build a crit rate, or even put a crit rate circlet, so a crit rate hat, and just focus on more crit rate substats. The second 5-star option that Ayaka can make good use of is the Primordial Jade Cutter, which is pretty much generally good for any sword user, although it does have a lower base attack than other 5-star weapons. You do get that attack bonus based on your max HP, and you also get the crit rate main stat, which is always going to be good. The crit rate substat is going to be really good since she already has that crit damage substat that she gets when she levels up, and this will allow you to build a lot of crit damage on her. The third 5-star option you could possibly go for would be the Skyward Blade, and this will basically help you gain more uptime on your elemental burst. The sword pretty much gives you crit rate as well, and it gives you a unique buff to your movement speed, attack speed, as well as your normal charge attack. Basically, guys, you can use any 5-star weapon you can get your hands on, since there are a lot of great 4-star options for Ayaka. So for the 4-star, I guess, free-to-play almost weapons, we'll obviously be seeing the new craftable sword in Inazuma called the Amenoma Kaguta Blade. Hopefully I said that right. We don't know exactly what it does, but we have seen the Ayaka using this sword in the trailer, so it might be a really good option. It is a craftable weapon, and it will be easier to refine if you guys do have a few of your prototypes, or as they're called now, billets. A really good weapon I do recommend is the Black Sword. You can get this from the Battle Pass. It pretty much has been one of the best weapons to get from the Battle Pass if you've ever bought the Battle Pass. It also gives you a really good crit rate substat, and the buff you get on your normal and charge attacks is obviously going to synergize really well with Ayaka. Not to mention the lifesteal that's also built into the passive, which will help out a lot having it on the field a ton. You can also get weapons that are available in the Star Glitter shop, like the Black Cliff Longsword, which does give you crit damage and an attack percentage buff, so this could work well. You can also go ahead and pick up the Royal Longsword, which isn't as optimal on her. Other 4-star options that weren't mentioned might be as good for her, considering she pretty much takes the role of a cryo DPS. So these are the best weapons you can build with Ayaka. However, do keep in mind, guys, you obviously cannot build it as a physical DPS with the Aquila Favonia or the Prototype Rancor, since his sprint basically just gives her cryo damage. So you would have to basically not sprint to use her. So it just wouldn't work to build Ayaka as physical damage. But if you want to build her as physical damage, go right ahead. But I wouldn't recommend it. Going into artifacts and what stats you should be prioritizing for Ayaka. First up, obviously, is the Blizzard Strayer set. This is overall, obviously, a really good artifact set for Ayaka. Not only does this give you cryo damage bonus, but it also gives you 40% crit rate on frozen enemies. This is going to stack really well with the cryo resonance buff for another 15% crit rate. Basically, this build will allow you to stack a lot of crit damage, with that being her main ascension stat. You'll get a lot of value from her DPS and scale really well. For her main stats, obviously you want to focus on attack sands, cryo damage goblet, crit damage on your circlet, and obviously you can trade out the crit damage circlet for a crit rate one depending on what substats you get. So it might even be worth going with a crit rate circlet depending on what your substats are on your artifacts, especially if you aren't always able to freeze enemies or bosses with elemental shields. So using this set on her pairing with any Hydra character pretty much will give you most of her potential. The next artifact set I want to talk about, guys, is the new one we'll be getting in Inazuma. Let's just call it the Reminiscence set. And its design is actually similar to the mask we saw in the Ayaka trailer. So the 2-piece set pretty much gives you an 18% attack bonus. And this is going to be really good alternative, obviously, to Gladiator artifacts. This means it'll be easier to farm that 2-piece set bonus instead of farming Gladiator. But if you have Gladiator, that could work too, because obviously you can only get Gladiator pieces now from the world and weekly bosses. Now the 4-set piece is where this artifact really shines. Basically, when you cast an elemental skill, if the character has 15 or more energy, you lose 15 energy, but you increase your normal and charged and plunging attacks damage by 50% for 10 seconds. This is going to be really good on her, especially considering one of her talents already buffs her auto attacks by 30%. So this set, Ayaka could possibly get an 80% damage bonus for her normal and charge attacks, which is obviously going to be really good for her. even if you're just sacrificing your elemental burst uptime, this artifact set is going to make her fit more of a normal and charged attack playstyle, since it pretty much gives a huge buff on her auto attacks. Now obviously, if you can't get the 4-piece of either artifact set, going for a combination of sets is always really good. You can still use a 2-piece Gladiator with either the 2-piece Blizzard, which personally what I'm going to be using, or a 2-piece Reminiscence set with a 2-piece Blizzard. For substats on her artifacts, you obviously want to focus on the crit stats and then attack percentage and then energy recharge for her burst. Finishing up with team composition. So guys, when it comes to team compositions, you can obviously make her your main DPS, or even your burst, or even a sub DPS. It really depends on your playstyle and how you basically want to use Ayaka. In order to take advantage of her skills and elemental reaction, guys, you need to pair Ayaka with a lot of different characters. You can pretty much build her in a perma-freeze, or maybe even like a melt team. Obviously for the Cryo Resonance, you want to pair her with either Diona, Kaya, or maybe even Rosaria. Diana is going to be a really good support since she does give you a shield and some healing. She is pretty much considered to be one of the best cryo batteries for your DPS. The crit rate bonus and energy you'll be getting from having another cryo character in your team as well will pretty much maximize Ayaka's DPS potential and really help her make the most damage in your team. Since her elemental burst does require 80 energy, having another character is pretty much a must for Ayaka. Pairing her with Chongyun can pretty much be redundant, considering Ayaka's auto attacks will always be infused with cryo most of the time, so you'll get a lot more value from using other cryo characters. Obviously, Xingqiu is going to be really good Hydro support for Ayaka, especially if you want to build a perma freeze team. Pairing Ayaka with a Hydro character is really important, since your combined skills pretty much perma freeze the enemies, and this is going to be really good. Obviously, if you have that 4-piece Blizzard Stray set, which gives you a lot more crit damage. So other characters like Mona or Barbara will synergize really well with Ayaka too. She can be paired with fill supports. I highly recommend maybe like an Animo character like Kazuha or Venti. Sucrose is a really good option if you don't have those 5 stars. Using those characters with Ayaka will obviously create more cryo buffs, crowd control, and really maximize the elemental reactions. Obviously, she's going to be really good with Zhongli as well for that shield resistance. Ayaka can pretty much fit the role of a sub DPS for quick bursts of damage with her elemental skill and burst. Basically, she'll go really well in melt comps as well. Literally anyone like Zhangling, Hu Tao, and maybe even Diluc. Overall, Ayaka is going to be a really simple character to build, and I think she's going to have one of the highest damages in the game alongside Eula, especially with this 80% buff she can pretty much just give herself. She's really easy to build if you just want to go Unga Bunga DPS. But yeah, I wish you guys all the luck wishing for Ayaka, and I am blessing your wishes. Leave a comment down below as well to get that extra bit of luck, and if you even want some more luck, drop a little cheeky like. Don't forget to go join our Discord as well. We're actually running a 10,000 Primogem giveaway, guys, so this could secure Ayaka for you on that banner. Join the Discord, go to the Genshin giveaway channel, and you can enter there. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Peace.